Could you please take your seats? Honorable members, before we proceed with the business today, I wish to announce that the vacancies which occurred in the National Assembly, owing to the resignations of Mr. P.P. Gietsi and Mr. L.G. Mukwena, have been filled by the nominations of Ms. P. Madokwe and Mr. S. Tambo, with effect from the 7th of October 2020 and 16 October 2020, respectively. The members have made and subscribed the oath with the Speaker through the virtual platform. We welcome them, and I hope that they will add to the democratic practices of this House. Lastly, in the interest of safety for all present in the chamber, we ask you to keep your masks on and to sit in your designated areas. Please do not move those papers that are designated. I think I heard somebody telling me to keep mine on. If I was sharing this mic with anybody right now, I would keep it on. And if you observed, when I do leave and somebody replaces me, this mask does get cleaned. Thank you. I must also ask honorable members not to forget to sign their attendance slips. It is important. Thank you very much. Honorable members, the only item on the order paper today is questions that are addressed to the Deputy President. Can I get confirmation that he is on the platform? He is. Thank you. Just for remembrance sake, honorable members, there are 4 supplementary questions to each question put. The parties have given an indication of which questions their members wish to pose a supplementary question on. Adequate notice was given to parties for this purpose. This was also done to facilitate participation of members who are connecting to the sitting through the virtual platform. Those members who will pose supplementary questions will be recognized by the presiding officer. In allocating the opportunities for supplementary questions, the principle of fairness, amongst others, has been applied. If a member who is supposed to ask a supplementary question through the visual platform is unable to do so due to technological difficulties, the party whip on duty will be allowed to put the question on behalf of their member. When all the supplementary questions have been put to the Deputy President, we will proceed to the next question on the order paper. Honorable members, the first question for the day was put by the Honorable Mazoni to the Deputy President. We have just confirmed that the Deputy President has been connected, and therefore I welcome you, Deputy President, and I give you the floor to respond to question number 13 as put to you by the Honorable Mazoni. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thanks for the opportunity. I'm sure I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. In response to the question, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought an unprecedented crisis to the world and our country, which required government and the whole society to join hands and save life. Collectively as government and society, we managed to avert the worst devastation of this pandemic. Together we weathered the eye of the storm, and we continue to work hard towards flattening the curve. However, Honorable Speaker, the struggle is not over yet, as we are still navigating how best to live alongside the virus. We stay encouraged by the continued decline of new infections and the recovery rate, and our fellow citizens' resilience and continued practice of regular washing of hands and sanitizing, putting on a mask, social distancing, and staying at home whenever it's possible. While our healthcare system has so far managed to cope in dealing with the infections, COVID-19 has shown a spotlight deepening unemployment, poverty, and growing inequalities within our society. If not addressed, Honorable Speaker, social deprivation and lack of success to means of livelihood for the majority of our people may lead to undesirable social fractures and disunity. As government, we'll continue to forge social compacts to protect the poor and vulnerable and strengthen social solidarity to cushion them against devastating impact of COVID-19. In this regard, government has implemented measures to enhance social resilience, cohesion, solidarity. Among others, this includes the establishment of the Solidarity Fund to support our shared and inclusive response, strengthening social security measures to assist the poor and those employees who lost their jobs as a result of COVID-19. Supporting business where fiscal possible to avert closures of number. Alongside these initiatives,
Deputy President, you are lost.
Of gender-based violence.
Deputy President.
To ensure that.
Deputy President, could you just go back a few seconds back? We lost you. We lost your response.
As government, can you hear me now?
Yes, please proceed.
As government will continue to forge paths to protect the poor and vulnerable. This devastating impact of COVID-19. In this regard, government has implemented measures to enhance social cohesion and solidarity. Among others, this in the establishment of the Solidarity Fund to support our shared and inclusive response, strengthening social security measures to us jobs, COVID-19, supporting business and job losses. Alongside these initiatives, government had to respond to increasing incidents of gender-based violence to ensure that affected families are provided with necessary support and mobilize these against of gender-based violence and ensure that our response in perpetrate to book. As we continue to fight this allegation of corruption related to other social assistance
On a point of order, Madam
intervention.
Speaker.
Honorable Deputy President, we do have a technical problem. There is a point of order, Ms. Mazoni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Deputy President, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt you. But Madam Speaker, it's virtually impossible to understand what the Deputy President is saying. I wonder if we couldn't take a 5-minute break, let IT sort the problem out, and then give the Deputy President a chance to answer, because we all want to hear what he has to say, but we simply can't because of the technicalities.
I do agree, Deputy President, we do have an issue with technicalities. We have actually just sent out to say that perhaps they must look at strengthening the IT from the side of the Deputy President. So, honorable members, I do agree that maybe we must suspend for 5 minutes to look at these technical problems. House is suspended for 5 minutes.
And so we come out of the Deputy President David Mabuza answering questions in Parliament. He was responding to a question from the DA's Natasha.
How are you? So we better now?
Yes, please. It's unmuted.
Unmuted.
It's unmuted, DP.
Can we mute first?
We can mute. Just one click.
In the meantime,
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. We are back in order. Please take your seats. Deputy President, it might be more helpful if you started the response from the top, sir, so we can get everything all together. You have the floor, Deputy President.
thank you, Honorable Speaker. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I was saying, Honorable Speaker, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought an unprecedented crisis to the world and our country, which required government and the whole of society to join hands and save lives. Collectively, as government and society, we managed to avert the worst devastation of this pandemic. Together, we weathered the eye of the storm, and we continue to work towards flattening the curve. However, Honorable Speaker, the struggle is not over yet, as we are navigating how best to live alongside the virus. However, we stay encouraged by the continued decline of new infections and our fellow citizens' resilience and continued practice of regular washing of hands, sanitizing, putting on our cloth mask, social distancing, and staying at home whenever we can. While our health care system has so far managed to cope in dealing with the infection, COVID-19 has shown a spotlight on deepening unemployment, poverty, and growing inequalities within our society. If not addressed, Honorable Speaker, social deprivation and lack of success to means of livelihood for the majority of people may lead to undesirable social fractures and disunity. As government will continue to forge social compacts to protect the poor and vulnerable, strengthen social solidarity to cushion our people against the devastating impact of COVID-19. In this regard, as government, we have implemented measures to enhance social resilience, cohesion, and solidarity. Among others, this includes the establishment of the Solidarity Fund to support shared and inclusive response, strengthening social security measures to assist the poor and those employees who lost their jobs, supporting businesses where fiscally possible to avert closures and job losses. Alongside these initiatives, Honorable Speaker, government had to respond to increasing incidents of gender-based violence to ensure that affected families are provided with the necessary support. We will continue to raise awareness and mobilize our communities against the scourge of gender-based violence and ensure that our criminal justice system responds swiftly in bringing perpetrators to book. As we continue to fight the pandemic, we must equally express our deep concern about the widespread allegation of corruption related to procurement of PPEs and other social assistance intervention. The corrupt activities revealed through the work of our law enforcement agencies highlight the extent to which our moral fibre has been compromised in pursuit of self-enrichment at the expense of the plight of our people. Such activities do not only undermine people's trust in government, but also undermine our efforts of attracting investment that we so need so that we can grow this economy. We agree with Honorable Mazon that we should take a moment to pause and reflect deeply on our inner selves. COVID-19 remains a devastating and life-threatening pandemic. It is for these reasons that one would have, even in the worst of moments, expected that we could be such brazen bravery amongst any of us to choose to be what the President called and characterized as the pack of hyenas circling a wounded prey. Our moral and societal values have been highly tested during this pandemic. We must all agree that more needs to be done to solidify the ethical foundation of our society, to ensure that public resources are utilized in a responsible manner to benefit our people. Equally, government will continue to enhance systems of internal control to ensure openness, transparency, and accountability to protect the integrity of our procurement system. Where breaches have been committed, those who are involved must be held accountable. The moral regeneration movement remains a critical platform to galvanize our society, to advance the promotion of positive values and ethical conduct. These positive values and ethical conduct empower us to confront deep-seated challenges of moral decay within our communities, including in our public service. As government of the African National Congress, we are fully committed to the elimination of corruption in all its forms and manifestations. We are therefore calling on all our citizens to support the President's efforts to deal with corruption across society. To this end, the President has ordered the Special Investigation Unit through proclamations to investigate allegations of corruptions around government spending towards the fight against the coronavirus. including allegations of impropriety in the awarding of tenders. The SIU is currently investigating up to 5 billion rands worth of contracts alleged to have been improperly awarded to various companies, nationally, provincial departments, as well as municipalities in the procurement of PPEs. In the recent months, we've seen more allegations of corruption being referred to the South African Police Service and other law enforcement agencies for further investigation. Furthermore, Honorable Speaker, the Fusion Center, which is a multidisciplinary team of law enforcement agencies, has been established to investigate COVID-19 corruption in particular. As government, we continue to provide the necessary support to these enforcement agencies, including availing the necessary resources for them to function optimally. In the same breath, we'll give them space to act independently without fear, favor, or prejudice. We are encouraged to see considerable progress being made in apprehending those who are alleged to have been involved in corrupt activities. Honorable Speaker, the COVID-19 pandemic has had more negative impact on the global economy, and recovery is projected to be more gradual than previously forecasted. The adverse impact of COVID-19 on low-income households is particularly very acute, and as a result, a lot of people have lost their jobs. Flowing from the recent Cabinet Lekgotla, as government, we are prioritizing Honorable Speaker, am I still audible?
You are audible. I think the
Thank
people
you.
who are hosts, please control. Please continue, Honorable Deputy President.
Flowing from the recent Cabinet Lekgotla, as government, we are prioritizing the recovery of the economy as unveiled by the President during the joint hybrid sitting of Parliament. We further need to strengthen cooperation with our international partners to reignite investment and increase trade flows. Among others, our focus will be on leveraging our infrastructure program to increase private sector investment and participation. Localization to ensure that we boost local manufacturing capabilities to support growth and local empowerment of small businesses in key value chains. Supporting job creation sectors to promote massive employment opportunities. Enhancing the state capacity to implement economic reforms to accelerate economic growth and development. Honorable Speaker, we are confident that we will come out of this current doldrums and grow this South African economy so that it leads to increased economic activity, resulting to the job creation that we so desire. This will result in the empowerment of many rather than benefiting only a few. South Africa stands at a critical crossroad to deal with the cumulative economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic we can either choose to return to the old normal of being tolerant of land hunger, racial animosity, gender-based violence, and entrenched poverty, or we can use this moment to break from this cycle. We know very well that in following this route, we stand assured of mutual destruction of South Africa, where people resort to, for example, racial lager mentality, as it is playing out in Senegal. We've made our choice as presented by the President last week. In the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, the President has outlined a number of initiatives. We've chosen a decisive path anchored on the founding values of our democracy and our Constitution. It is a route that seeks to even confront superficial racial and class divisions in our society to build a cohesive society founded on the values of equality, social solidarity, and equitable economic inclusion. It is our conviction that a well-focused economic reconstruction and recovery plan will not only restore productivity and accelerate economic performance, but will allow us to respond to the deepening challenges of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Our task is to focus on implementation so that this plan gains quick traction in order to realize the envisaged outcomes. Sharp focus on implementation requires a common and a shared vision across society to strengthen social compacts and collaborative partnerships so we all play our part in the success of the plan. As public representatives, we must contribute and inspire hope that our resilience will triumph over the challenges we are currently facing. It is therefore important that we should not expend our energies in that which divide us, but focus our collective and shared national destiny. We must rally the nation behind the leadership of the President in driving economic reconstruction and recovery plan. The choice before us is clear. We can either resort to cynicism, apathy, and negativity, or we can exercise our roles as public representatives to foster positive leadership of uniting South Africans towards a common goal of achieving a South Africa where every man, every woman, every child has a place under the sun, and where the potential of every individual is maximized for the collective good. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. The first supplementary goes to the Honorable Mazoni.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Deputy President. Deputy President, I think the answer you just gave this House was superb. I think it should be written down and distributed as widely as possible. But I think that until I see some kind of action, I'm going to find it very difficult to believe that anyone but you believe the answer you just gave this House. You see, Mr. Deputy President, this country has absolute fatigue. We have corruption fatigue, we have commission fatigue, we have ad hoc committee fatigue, we have promises of fighting corruption fatigue. We have heard over and over and over again that those who are corrupt will be brought to book. But I still have to sit in a parliament with Honourable Bongo, who gets reinstated as an MP and a chair of a committee. Deputy President, I heeded the call. I, Tuma Minute.
Order, Speaker. Honourable Mazoni, please take a seat. You are on your feet.
No, on a point of order, Chair, Honourable Speaker. Comrade Bongo has never been removed from Parliament. Can that member withdraw from that statement?
Honourable members, the point of order, I think, should be that this matter is before the court. Honourable Mazoni, you do know that you have overstepped a bit. The Honourable Bongo's matter was brought before the Ethics Committee. Ethics Committee did not conclude the matter. That matter is still before the Ethics Committee, and that matter is before the courts. I think that we should, honourable members, try and reflect what is. But for the sake of progress, I'm going to ask you to withdraw that. You can bring it back if you want to at a later stage when the matter has been concluded. But at this stage, the matter is not concluded anyway. Honourable Mazoni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I withdraw.
Thank you, ma'am. Please proceed.
Thank you. Deputy President, when the President himself said that he feels that it's like hyenas attacking prey, I think he's incredibly diplomatic. I think it's more a case of pigs eating from the trough of humanity. That is the level of corruption when people's lives are at stake and money is stolen that should be being used to save lives. I think the unprecedented crisis that this country faces isn't only the virus. It is the fact that even in the face of death, there are people in public office who are willing to steal billions of rand. That is the crisis that we face. We face the crisis of a completely unethical government. Deputy President, my question is this. Money gets paid out of a government account and it gets paid into another account. It's very easy to trace that money. When are we finally going to see a big fish, not some little no one in a department that means nothing to anyone? When are we going to see a Premier, an MMC, an MEC, or a Minister finally being suspended pending the outcome of an investigation into stealing money and causing
Honourable
death
Mazoni.
in our country?
I was lenient because there was a point of order that interrupted you, but you went way beyond your time. I will not be kind again. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Well, I agree with the Honourable Member that as a country we are facing a few challenges, and they are deep-seated challenges. Corruption is one of those challenges. We are facing this pandemic, COVID-19. We are facing gender-based violence. And as a society, as a South African population, society, we must stand up and confront these challenges. The President has put a plan, and all of us are going to rally around this plan and try and do something to change our situation. We are going to support the law enforcement agencies so that we deal with corruption. We agree with you that we cannot allow corruption to reign supreme. Otherwise, it's going to destroy our very young democracy that we have created. So we are going to protect this democracy. We are not going to cry, but we are going to stand up and fight. So it is upon all of us as leaders who are sitting here in Parliament to confront these challenges that are faced by our own country. Now, this society needs to be assisted. You must be aware that gender-based violence, it's not just what you see, the incidents that get reported. It might be more than what the eye can see. It needs all of us to stand up and deal with this pandemic, gender-based violence. Corruption, it cannot only be in the public service. Corruption is there in the private sector. Corruption is there in our society. So we must stand up and uproot corruption in our society. It is the responsibility of all leaders elected in this parliament. So yes, I agree with you by pointing all these challenges that we are faced with. I'm saying the president came up with a plan. We can add to the plan, but let us make this plan work. Let's rally around this plan and see whether we can achieve something best out of this plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second supplementary question goes to the Honorable Mvana on the virtual platform. Ma'am, you've got 1 minute.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable Deputy President, I hear you clearly, but I would like you to assist us by telling on how can we collectively contribute to the effective and efficient rollout of this plan that we are talking about, one of the moral regeneration. And how will this plan respond in addressing issues that divide us, such as fraud and corruption that our partners are talking about, so that we can be able to focus in our efforts in building the economy of our country. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The Honorable, the Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As public representative, I believe, Honorable Speaker, that we've got a role to play. We need to stand up and join the movement out there. We've got good people out there who still carry positive values. We've got good people that are working hard in different sectors of our society. So as public representatives, it is our duty to stand up and reinforce the work that is done by this big movement outside that seeks to promote positive values. These positive values start right from family, household, goes to church, it goes to all sectors of our society. It is an ongoing mission that we should preach good values, we should inculcate good values. We cannot somewhere along the way despair and say we are giving up. This is a continuous mission of molding society, of teaching society of what is good and of what is bad. So as public representative, let's stand up and join this movement. It is our duty. Our people have got trust on us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy President. The third supplementary goes to the Honorable Reverend Mishwe. Sir, you've got a minute.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Deputy President. About 2 months ago, the SIU revealed in Parliament that 658 contracts relating to PPEs were being investigated in all 3 spheres of government. This was after the President signed a proclamation ordering the SIU to investigate allegations that politically connected people and unscrupulous business figures might have benefited from PPE tenders. What I want to know, Deputy President, is why government, through the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation that is mandated to monitor service delivery, could not detect that massive corruption that was taking place under their noses, and what measures have been put in place to ensure that such inordinate levels of corruption are never experienced again. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Michel. The Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I must agree that as government, I'm sure we were caught napping. Some of our systems, our procurement systems, leaves much to be desired. That is why the President has called upon all of us to try and revamp our procurement system. As we are speaking, we are dealing with our procurement systems, trying to close all the loopholes that are there. Of course, all the systems are being managed by human beings. Human beings can always flout these systems because they are responsible of creating the very systems. But in this case, we need to have checks and balances that would help us to detect corruption as early as possible. And the President has called upon all our law enforcement agencies to step up their work. Some of our law enforcement agencies are crying about resources, lack of personnel, and we believe that the required support that they need from government, they have been given. Of course, we don't have ample resources. We have given them what we can afford as a country. We believe these institutions must be built, not for now, it must be built for the future, so that they are anchored, our democracy is anchored on very sound institutions that does not depend on who is in government. These systems would stay the test of time. This time, we must build systems that are very strong, that does not depend whether it's the ANC in government, whether it's the DA in government, whether it's the EFF in government. We must have strong institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The last supplementary on this question goes to the Honorable Mkalipi. She's on the virtual platform. Honorable Mkalipi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Speaker. Deputy President, corruption in the ruling party predates COVID-19. It has been there and is endemic. Most of the perpetrating acts of corruption are protected if they are close to those in power. The punishment of the corrupt thereof is selective. Not long ago, Ranjeni Munsami, a former journalist, was exposed at the State Capture Commission as having received illicit monies from intelligence services. Despite this, she has now been appointed by the Minister of Finance as a community outreach officer. What is your view, Deputy President, this appointment? Does the appointment of Ranjeni due to your government's fight against corruption? Have you engaged with the Minister of Finance? If not, why not? Because this country is bleeding of corruption.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time has expired. The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me assure the Honorable Member that I will take up this particular question because if there is an alleged corruption, even not to a point where it's proven, I think as leaders we must act with caution so that we don't reinforce a perception out there that seeks to say we don't care, we'll proceed with what we want to do. So I'm going to follow up on this matter, but I must hasten to say all the issues that are raised in these commissions, especially the Zondo Commission, will await the final report of the Deputy Chief Justice to be presented, and that will also spell out exactly the remedial actions that must be taken. And until then, we can't speculate about what things are said there. We can read between the blue lines, but let's allow the Deputy Chief Justice to give his conclusion about all the matters that were presented before him, and then say, this is what I'm suggesting it must be done. But I'm sure step by step as a country, we are moving in the right direction. The president must be supported in his efforts to fight crime. All of us must stand up and fight the scourge of corruption and fight crime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. We move on to the second question. Question number 14 was put to you by the Honorable Mauto. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The matter of the allegation that the ESCOM CEO misled the board to terminate a contract of a particular company has been in the public domain, Honorable Speaker, as early as March 2020. In the wake of this allegation, the ESCOM board instituted an independent investigation, appointed advocate Vem Trengove to investigate this matter. Subsequently, the ESCOM board, at its July 2020 meeting, adopted the report of the senior counsel and expressed its support for the CEO. In line with corporate governance principles that are set out, the separation of roles between shareholders and the board, there is no basis for us to doubt the decision within the purview of the board in respect of this and any other operational issues of the power utility. We would like to treat this matter as adequately addressed the way it has been concluded by the board. And we must respect the resolution that has been taken by the board itself. However, as the matter has now been raised in this House by Honorable Mentry, all we can do from our side is to reaffirm the principle of good governance and our commitment to those principles. We believe that the board should be allowed space to independently carry out its fiduciary responsibility and exercise duty of care on all strategic and operational matters of ESCOM without any undue influence. For the record, Advocate Trengrove's report has been made available for our perusal, and we have no basis to doubt its fairness or the integrity of the investigation process as conducted against the CEO with respect to the allegations made. As government, we remain committed to clean governance, and we have confidence in the capabilities of the current board at ESCOM. We believe we have appointed a board that is competent, experienced, and capable of implementing clear mechanism to hold their own executive accountable. As a matter of course, government exercises its oversight role through the Department of Public Enterprises, guided by shareholder compact. That is why our position is that the board is empowered to run the affairs of ESCOM diligently while ensuring a financial sustainable energy utility that is oriented to meet its developmental imperatives. The ESCOM political task team that was established by the President will continue to provide the necessary support to ESCOM to ensure it enhances institutional capabilities to sustainably supply electricity to support economic growth and development. We are committed to supporting the leadership of the board and the CEO in ensuring that ESCOM is transformed and put on a sustainable operational path. This is what the country requires. There is still a long road ahead, but for now, we are satisfied that this energy utility is heading in the right direction. So it needs our support. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. The first supplementary goes to the Honorable Maudwe. Honorable Member, you've got 2 minutes. Member Maudwe.
Yes, thank you very much, Speaker. Deputy President, the reasons that were put forward by the CEO and what we have seen published on the media, what we read, are that the contract that was awarded irregularly suggested that there was corruption that was involved, and that between Econ Oil and Energy and Sasol, there was collusion. However, Deputy President, you might be aware that the contract for Sasol has not been terminated. They are still supplying oil to ESCOM. Now the question is, has anyone been found guilty of any wrongdoing at ESCOM in awarding the contract to Econ Oil and Energy? And why has the contract with Sasol not been terminated? Is the CEO employed with a mandate to remove black suppliers from ESCOM and undo the little transformation by targeting only black companies while corrupt white companies remain ESCOM suppliers? I thank you, Deputy. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. The Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am not aware of those developments. I'll be happy to investigate that, because that will be incorrect. That if a supplier, the contract has been terminated, but the supplier continues to supply or to render the service, that can be looked at and we can raise it with the board. But the principle that I wanted to put forward here is that we want to establish a new way of working, that we should allow these public entities to function, because you have appointed a board, you have got a CEO. We want to avoid political meddling with the running day-to-day running of those utilities, so that we move away from the past where politicians were fingered to be interfering in the running of these SOEs. This time around, we want to follow the governance principle. We are a shareholder. We are going to act like a shareholder. We're going to raise issues in the shareholders meeting, and because we are participating. I am here to assist ESCOM to recover from all these challenges that it is confronted with. You'll be aware that ESCOM is confronted with a lot of challenges. The amount of debts, money that is owed by ESCOM, the money that is owed by municipalities to ESCOM, vandalism of the infrastructure of ESCOM. So ESCOM is faced with a number of challenges, needs to be assisted because it's at the center of our growth. And it should be understood in that way. All of us must support this power utility because its success, it is the success of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Speaker, Honourable Speaker.
Is that a point of order, Mayor Mauta? Because that is the only thing you can make now.
Yes.
What is your point of order?
Yes, I want to clarify. I think the Deputy President did not get my question.
No.
I'm
Ms.
saying
Mauta.
the same contract
No, Ms. Mauta.
where black suppliers are terminated.
Ms. Mauta,
Sasol is
you
not
are
terminated.
out of order. That's not a point of order. Please close that mic. The next supplementary is put to you, Deputy President, by the Honorable Makaka. Ndate, you've got 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Honorable Deputy President, in the light that ESCOM board, including the Minister, gave a comprehensive feedback to all members of the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprise on this matter pertaining the CO, would you therefore agree with me that the motive behind the FF question is more to do with their obsession to fuel racial animosity and hatred among South Africans in these public-owned entities than a quest to resolve challenges created through state capture and corruption, which led to collapse of not only the SOEs in the Department of Public Enterprise, but the entire countries, including VBS.
Thank you, Tate Makaka. The Honorable, the Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I cannot jump to that conclusion. I want to believe all members of Parliament have got the right to ask questions and to be answered. Where we feel the question is deviating from the normal, we are going to say so. However, I want to agree with Honorable Makaka that the challenges that are faced by ESCOM, we must not rationalize them. They are not challenges that are created by white people. They are not challenges that are created by black people. These are challenges of the power utility. So let us not divide our people that are working in ESCOM. This country, you'll remember that it belongs to all of us who are living in it, black and white. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Thring is on the virtual platform. He is given the opportunity for the third supplementary Honorable Thring, you've got a minute.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy President, it has been widely reported that Eskom undertook a review of the circumstances leading to the tender of some 5 billion being awarded to Econ Oil and Energy. It is alleged that this review uncovered serious irregularities in the process, including inflated prices charged to Eskom when lowered priced alternatives were evident. Can the Deputy Minister confirm, the Deputy President, I beg your pardon, confirm whether these allegations are true and inform this House how many other companies are doing business with Eskom whose contracts are under review that have had irregular or where there have been revealed irregularities, and what consequence management steps will be taken? Thank you.
The Honorable, the Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. All what I can confirm is that the CEO was doing his job by reassessing all the contracts that Eskom has entered into with service providers, checking whether there's value for money, checking whether are these contracts done in the correct manner. And in this case, the CEO found that he's not really satisfied in the manner these contracts were entered into. That is something that is indicated in the report. So we are not going to really delve much into the report, which honorable members have got the right to find the report and look at it procedurally. But I can assure you that the CEO has done his best in this case to try and save Eskom money and to try and uproot corruption. And I think he is standing firm against corruption, and he must be supported. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The last supplementary on this question goes to the Honorable Kachalia. You've got a minute, sir.
Thank you. Deputy President, given that it is common cause that Eskom has benefited by corruption and graft, and so, in the interests of transparency and accountability to root out such practice, will the Deputy President, in his capacity as chairperson of the Eskom task team, commit to a timeline and table a full progress report in Parliament pertaining to the terms and conditions, and in particular, the pricing of fuel contracts compared to direct supply from refineries, as well as the identities and capacity of the shareholders of such contracts, past and present? As the Deputy President himself says, we must uproot corruption in our society. Surely it's time for him, with respect, to put his money where his mouth is and table such a report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ndate Kachalia. The Honorable, the Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, currently I am confident that the leadership at Eskom are doing their best to uproot corruption. There are a number of cases that are being investigated that are with the law enforcement agencies. Now, we cannot this time say exactly where is the investigation process? But I must say that there are a number of cases. There are a number of cases that are before the law enforcement agencies that were submitted by the leadership of ESCO. So, at the right moment, we can report. Not really myself, because the leadership of ESCOM can report itself. ESCOM, most of its operations are supported by government. ESCOM has got a responsibility to account, and even to this August House, ESCOM can account. There's a minister who's sitting there on behalf of government, who's standing in for our shares, because we are a shareholder, who can also assist where possible. So I'm saying it's not like this entity is far from being reached by this honorable house. This entity can come and account for a number of activities that they're doing. But I must say, from what I have noticed, the entity is doing very well in terms of correcting operational issues. The entity is doing very well in terms of dealing with corruptions. The entity is on the right track. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Deputy President, we move on to the next question. That question is question number 15, which was put to you, Deputy President, by the Honorable Nonsel. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We take our cue, Honorable Speaker, from the address by the President to the joint hybrid sitting of Parliament, calling on all of us to work together to implement measures that are aimed not only at restructuring the economy, but also bolstering the capacity of the state to deliver on bold plans of economic reconstruction and recovery. This includes fast-tracking reforms and the resolution of identified inefficiencies at ESCOM to ensure the security of energy supply. It is common cause that instability of energy supply and constant load shedding pose a high risk to the economy. We must acknowledge that our fleet of coal-fired power stations is aging, vulnerable to breakdowns, and it incurs significant maintenance costs. We are, however, pleased that the leadership of ESCOM has put in place a clear maintenance plan to ensure that we avoid unexpected electricity supply disruptions. Honorable Speaker, this does not suggest that we can, with utmost certainty, based on the available information and projections, guarantee that there will not be load shedding in the coming months. As indicated in the Integrated Resource Plan of 2019 and confirmed by ESCOM, as well as other independent reports, such as the one referred by the Honorable Nonsele, our electricity supply system remains very constrained. However, Eskom has developed key mitigating actions as part of the Reliability Maintenance Recovery Plan. This program provides a number of solutions that will assist in closing the gap in the delivery of electricity supply over the next 18 months and mitigate the potential risk of load shedding. These initiatives take into account all power generation interventions, both by Eskom and independent power producers. Long-term investment into the energy sector is critical to sustainable electricity supply and the growth of our economy. Sufficient, secure and reliable energy supply in order to support the industrialization program is crucial for the success of the economic reconstruction and recovery plan. In this regard, government is embarking on some interventions that will allow for short-term stability and certainly in the supply of electricity. In part, this requires targeted focus on improving governance, enhancing the internal control environment, and ensuring that Eskom turns around its dire financial situation. This will help build institutional capacity and achieve stability in the provision of electricity. To date, Honorable Speaker, the high-level achievement towards ensuring this involves the following: the adoption of the functional leader operating model as the basis for how Eskom will manage its business. This allows the various businesses to function independently. Implementation of business models for the divisions and corporate functions for the first time and first phase of divisionalization are at an advanced stage of completion. Establishment of divisional boards for all three Eskom divisions, appointment of divisional managing directors, as well as board members. Conceptualization of a market operator which will operate as a central purchasing agency of electricity by contracting from generation to distribution. The Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy has already gazetted amendments to the electricity regulator on new generation capacity with a view of enabling municipalities in good financial standing to develop their own power generation projects. The President further stated on unveiling the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan that government is accelerating the implementation of the Integrated Resource Plan of 2019, including Section 34 ministerial determination, to provide a substantial increase in the contribution of renewable energy sources, battery storage, and gas technology. It is envisaged that through these efforts, an additional capacity of 2,000 megawatts will be introduced in the grid by the year 2021, and a further 11,800 megawatts of new energy generation will be introduced to our grid by the year 2022 of which more than half will be generated from renewable resources. In addition, a process to implement BEAD Window 5 of the Renewable Energy Program has started. Sorry. In addition, a number of procurement approvals relating to new contracts, modifications, single source approvals, and clarifications are already with National Treasury for consideration. Many of these relate to projects that have got a very significant impact on the energy generation capacity. In addition, the contribution of the new build program to the energy availability remains critical in the mix of initiatives to ensure energy security. ESCOM had to deal with the cost overruns and defects affecting Gusile and Medupi power stations, whose completion dates have been revised to 2020 and 2023. Although the impact of COVID-19 on potential completion delays has not yet been assessed. We are, however, advised by the management of ESCOM that a great deal of progress has been recorded in effecting corrective technical modification required at Gusile and Medupi. Once completed, the new build program that is inclusive of Ingula Power Station will contribute plus or minus additional generation capacity of 17,132 megawatts and transmission lines by 9,100 kilometers and substation capacity by 42,350 megavolts. We are confident that all these initiatives and raft of measures we have outlined will assist in averting worsening of load shedding crisis that is projected by the report of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. So we are on the right track in terms of building our generation capacity. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The first follow-up question will go to the Honorable Nonsele.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Chair, House Chair, the follow-up question reads as follows. I fully agree with the Deputy President with regard to the steps taken with the introduction of the Integrated Resource Plan of 2019, which has set the scene for major interventions in the area of energy supply until 2030, at the core of which are the 9 policy considerations that inform our approach to energy mix. The setting of minimum standards on reduction of carbon emissions and promotion of environmental safety is a good affirmation of our commitment towards clean energy. The question, therefore, is, our country is endowed with large reserves of coal. Most towns around coal mines have a direct dependency on these for value chain addition. The quick question would be, considering that we are engaging with IPPs, which are environmentally safe but not labor absorptive, and the value chain addition and in terms of enabling. The point would be, how would we deal with these 2 contradictions? Can the Honorable Deputy President clarify this challenge? Thank you, Chair.
The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. It's not really a challenge. Yes, in the face of it, it's a problem, but it's a good problem. We have got this resource called coal, and we are looking at independent power producers that will bring cleaner energy. Of course, the current challenge that we're facing with our coal is the carbon emission that comes from the burning of coal. So in the process, I'm aware that the Minister of Minerals, Resources and Energy is currently looking for cleaner ways of burning coal, more best applications that can be used to still burn our coal, but limit the carbon emission. So working with other countries like China, I'm confident that we're going to find a solution to this problem so that we comply to our environmental regulations, that of not producing or emitting carbon. We welcome the new direction that the country is taking. It's unavoidable, that of looking at other ways of generating energy. You can call them, you can talk about gas, you can talk about wind, you can talk about solar. So there are many sources of energy generations that are being explored. So the future is bright with all kinds of sources of energy that are available to the world. So generation of energy is not going to be a challenge in the near future. Thank you very much.
The next question goes to the Honorable Milam.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I don't know how the Deputy President can say the challenge of electricity is not going to be a problem in the near future with a straight face, given that the electricity supply utility, ESCOM, has indicated that we're going to have load shedding for at least the next 3 years. Deputy President, I'm very pleased that the ANC finally acknowledges that renewable electricity represents the cheapest solution to our load shedding crisis. Last year, during the budget process, the DA proposed that a 75,000 Rand tax rebate be instituted to cover the cost of installing solar systems in homes to take the pressure off the grid. We costed it out and we found savings where it could be funded. Will the Deputy President take this proposal seriously? And will he push for residential consumers to receive this rebate to encourage the rollout of rooftop photovoltaic systems, as this will alleviate demand on the grid and ESCOM and provide a much-needed boost to our economy? Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Honourable Chair, I've not heard the question very well. The system was breaking.
Okay, I'll request the Honourable Milam just repeat the question, please.
Chairperson, thank you. I said I was very pleased that the ANC had finally acknowledged that renewable electricity...
No, just the
I'm
question.
getting there, Chair.
Okay.
That renewable electricity represents the cheapest solution to our load shedding crisis. Last year, the DA proposed a 75,000 Rand tax rebate to be instituted to cover the installing of solar systems in homes to take the pressure off the grid. And I said that we had costed it out and found savings where it could be funded. Now my question was, will the Deputy President take this proposal seriously, and will he push for residential consumers to receive this rebate to to encourage the rollout of rooftop photovoltaic systems, as this will alleviate the demand both on the grid and on Eskom and provide a much-needed boost to the economy. Thank you.
Honourable Deputy President, I hope you got the question now.
Yes, Chair, I've got the question. All what I can say is that, well, I'm taking the proposal. I'm going to discuss it first with the Minister of Public Enterprise, responsible shareholder in Eskom, and I'm going to discuss it with the Minister of Minerals and Energy, and I'm going to discuss it with the Minister of Finance. And I'm going to revert back to the honourable member in writing in terms of this proposal. And beyond, outside this house, I'm going to request the honourable member to put exactly the question in black and white so that we can explore it. If it's going to be an advantage to the country, we will welcome it and we'll discuss it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The next follow-up question goes to the Honourable Mente.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Deputy President, when we made the nation aware a few years ago that Eskom is being milked dry by the PPAs and the IPPs because Eskom didn't have capacity, that is what was said. And Eskom did have capacity, but it was buying a kilowatt for R2.06 and selling it for 90 cents. And we were told that we were misleading the nation. But the CFO of Eskom confirmed that fact. In fact, the experts as well confirmed that. Yourself, Deputy President, in September 2019, in one of your speeches during the Parliament sitting, you said you welcome the minister's advice that the IPP prices should be renegotiated. But that came out to be a PR exercise, and that never happened. Now, Deputy President, is Eskom still buying a kilowatt for R2.06 from IPPs and selling it for 90 cents under your watch? If yes, why you still allow that to continue? If no, what is the plan? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member is correct. We've identified that anomaly, which to us was a problem. It also contributed to the challenges by Eskom in terms of finances. You can't be buying electricity at a higher price and sell it at a lower price. Definitely, you are going to have problems. Now, we discussed this matter. All of us agreed that we need to go and renegotiate those prices. It is not only the prices for electricity coming from independent power producers, it is also the price of coal coming from the coal suppliers. Eskom is currently busy with renegotiating those contracts. Remember, it can't be easy because these are contracts that were signed. And legally, we don't have a leg to stand on as Eskom, because those contracts were signed by those who were leading Eskom then, were signed by ministers then. So we are renegotiating this, and we hope that we're going to succeed, because these independent power producers must be aware that we are here to stay, we are here to work together. So long term, it is advisable for us to renegotiate a price that will suit both of us. So we hope that finally we are going to succeed. Even with the coal suppliers, we hope we're going to succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. The next follow-up question goes to the Honorable Ngumalu.
Point of order.
The Honorable Ngumalu.
Thank you very much, House Chair, the Deputy President, honorable members. House Chair, from the outset, the IP wishes to point out that in the same CSIR report referred to in the first question showed that in 2019 alone, South Africa experienced about 530 hours of load shedding, with an estimated economic impact of 60 to 120 billion rands. A recent report by the PwC on unlocking South Africa's hydrogen potential, it argued that South Africa is in a unique position to supply green energy or green supply of hydrogen in light of its solar and wind resources, and if this opportunity is grabbed, South Africa could revolutionize its energy sector and be an attractive exporter of green energy. The report, however, pointed out that a clear government hydrogen is critical to seize this opportunity. In July 2020, there were reports that government had initiated a process to develop a roadmap looking at how hydrogen technology could be developed and deployed. Now, the question, Honorable House Chair, is that what is the timeline for the finalization of this roadmap? And the second one would be, what are the key areas will this roadmap wish to investigate? Thank you very much, House Chair and the Deputy President.
The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chair. To be forthright, it will be very difficult at this point in time to say exactly the timeline of this roadmap. Of course, there are a few steps towards that roadmap that has been indicated by the Minister of Mineral Resources to say to try and expand our generation capacity. These are the things that we're going to do. Of course, we're still far from achieving those things. It is a plan, and I can't just say we are going to achieve this plan by this time. But I'm confident that we are beginning a journey that will take us out of this energy crisis, increase the capacity of this country in terms of energy generation, ensure that the price of energy comes down so that we can boost economic growth, we can allow businesses to reopen. Some of the businesses are finding it very hard to operate because of the price of electricity. Some of the consumers are finding it very hard to pay for the electricity, we are told, because of the price. So it's one matter that we are looking at. I'm sure the more and more we increase our capacity. And our capacity is not confined to one aspect. There are a number of aspects, like I've said, there are a number of options available to South Africa. And we're going to take all these options very serious. For now, I must say that we're still going to rely for the foreseeable future. We're going to rely on our coal. You can see that we've got 2 brand new power stations, Gusile and Mudupi, that will utilize coal. But we are looking at a number of options, including nuclear energy. So I can say that this plan will encompass a lot of things, but would be aiming at improving and increasing our generation capacity. Thank you very much.
Question number 16 has been asked by the Honorable Chaisa to the Deputy President. The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Chairperson. Our view is that the legislative arm of the state has the responsibility to address the shortcomings identified in the Constitutional Court judgment with regard to the amendment of the legislation in order to allow for the reopening of land claims for restitution. Having said that, Chairperson, we need to remind ourselves that the people of South Africa, that the Constitutional Court, in its judgment of the 28th of July 2016 on the matter of the Restitution of Land Rights Amendment Act, Act number 15 of 2014, did not entirely reject the validity and correctness of the land reform program as a means to redress past land injustices. Instead, it declared that Parliament failed to satisfy its obligation to facilitate public involvement in accordance with Section 72(1)(a) of the Constitution. For instance, in passing this judgment, the Constitutional Court has this to say, I open quote, "This matter concerns the painful, emotive subject of colonial and apartheid-era land dispossession, a subject that, despite the democratic government's effort at the resolution through the Restitution of Land Rights Act, which is called the Restitution Act, continues to plague South Africa's political, legal landscape. To those who personally experienced the forced removals and those who, instead of inheriting the illegitimately wrested land, inherited the pain of loss of homes and of property. The dispossessions are not merely colonial and apartheid-era memories. They continue to be post-apartheid realities, close quote. Correctly speaking, Chair, this judgment brought to the fore the pressing need to move with speed in implementing a comprehensive land reform program. That is why in his 2018 State of the Nation address, the President committed to the acceleration of land redistribution program to redress the historical injustices of land dispossession and displacement in order to avail more land for agriculture and ensure food security, rural development and poverty reduction, whilst equally responding to equitable spatial planning and settlement. This pronouncement was followed by the appointment of the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform, chaired by the Deputy President, to give effect to the Accelerated Land Reform Program. The IMC did consider the implication of the Constitutional Court judgment and at the time advised the Commission on Restitution of Land Rights to prioritize the settlement of older claims that had been submitted by the first deadline of 31st December 1998. The Commission was further advised to consider various options in their processing of the claims that will allow claimants to opt for land redistribution or tenure security to avoid complications of providing or proving past dispossession. While calling for the Commission to urgently resolve all outstanding claims, the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and Agriculture had a full appreciation of the fiscal constraints that will make the settlement of all outstanding claims difficult and onerous. It became apparent that this approach to the speedy resolution of land dispossession and hunger was fiscally unsustainable and unaffordable. As society, we had to find alternative ways of addressing land question to ensure that we deepen social cohesion and stability in an orderly and constitutional manner. Subsequently, Chairperson, in October of the same year, the President appointed an advisory panel on land reform and agriculture that was chaired by the late Dr. Vuyo Mahlatsi, to whom we're grateful for her service to our country. May her soul rest in peace. This advisory panel was tasked with providing a unified perspective on expropriation of land in the wider context of persisting land inequities and unsatisfactory land and agrarian reform and urban land development and distribution. In its final report, the panel made a proposal for an amendment of the Constitution which clarifies that expropriation without compensation is necessary in limited circumstances. The panel noted that the Expropriation Act number 63 of 1975 preceded the 1996 Constitution and therefore does not align with the transformative mandate of the Constitution. The panel made a recommendation that this act must be urgently replaced by the Expropriation Act that is in line with the values and the spirit of our Constitution. To this end, the Expropriation Bill of 2020 was gazetted on the 9th of this month as part of the work of government to ensure that comprehensive land redistribution through expropriation for public purposes or in the public interest is effected. The publication of this important bill, it's a cogent indication that government is indeed at work to realize redress, and it fulfills the aspirations of the people to have an equitable society. It is a recognition of the urgency required to address the injustices of the past and restore land rights in a responsible manner, whilst ensuring that food security is not disrupted, that equitable spatial justice is achieved, and that continuation of investment to expand our industrial base is also secured. Expropriation of property with nil compensation is not a silver bullet, as said by Minister Delil. It is only but one acquisition mechanism that in appropriate cases will enable land reform and redress as recommended by the advisory panel on land reform and agriculture. However, the bill does bring certainty to all South Africans and investors, as it outlines how expropriation can be done and on what basis. This legislative certainty is critical as we rebuild the economy and invest in our communities. In addition to the expropriation bill, as government, we took practical steps to ensure that all claimed land in the hands of government is released to the claimants as part of our contribution to accelerated land restitution. Through the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, government has announced the process for the release of state land for allocation to beneficiaries across all provinces. This will make more land available for use to those yearning for access to land. We have adopted the national policy on beneficiary selection and land allocation, which will provide for a more systematic approach to redressing and correcting past injustices of access to land through ensuring that those who are eligible for land reform are provided with actual access to land. And in this regard, this land allocation policy provides guidance on who should be selected as beneficiaries and what they are eligible to get. We are clear that the primary beneficiaries will be women and young people who constitute the majority of our population, as well as people with disabilities who have long been economically marginalized. More importantly, we're also reaching out to private land owners. We have committed to donating land to contribute to the achievement of land reform goals. We've finalized the land donation policy, which provides a framework of how we will deal with donated land. This policy is ready for approval by Cabinet, and we are confident that patriotic private landowners and corporates with access land will unconditionally donate land for redistribution. For us as public representatives, we should now focus on concluding a related matter of amending the Constitution to be more explicit on the circumstances that require land expropriation without compensation. Honorable members can rest assured that this government is at work and remains committed to an equitable land reform program to realize redress that fulfills the aspirations of the people to live in dignity. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. The first follow-up question will go to the Honorable Nchaisa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Well spoken, well articulated. Mr. Deputy President, if the Parliament cannot pass legislation as directed by the Constitutional Court on issue as important as restitution, what guarantee do the people of this country have that this very Parliament will drastically change the regime of land rights in this country? Can you take them into confidence? Can you make them believe that they are not taken for granted by the Parliament? Can you make them believe that their interests and views will always be considered? Can you make them believe that the Parliament will always be, and it is always for the people? Thank you very much. Inspire them, Deputy President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. On the first question, I think the ball is in our court as Parliament. There are disagreements. There are those who are saying expropriation of land without compensation is not necessary. There are those that are saying expropriation of land without compensation, it's necessary. We're going to debate it out as Parliament and find a solution finally. But we are also bringing the Expropriation Act. This bill, it's a bill that we are amending that seeks to also seeks to clarify the spirit of the Constitution, to say, we must say, when it's expropriation of land without compensation going to happen, under what circumstances it's going to happen. This bill is going to be introduced shortly here in Parliament so that we can proceed with that process and close it. But of course, we're not sitting on our laurels as government. The Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development is now moving ahead, taking one step forward to make land available, the 700,000 hectares of land, to the people of South Africa, so that we can enhance productivity, we can make more land available to our people, especially women and young people, as well as people with disability. That is going to happen whether we still debate the expropriation bill, whether we still debate the amendment of the Constitution. That is going to happen shortly. We have taken a decision, like I've said, that we are going to release land. Remember, in terms of the Land Rights Amendment Act, land has been claimed by a number of claimants when it was open for claimants to claim. So we are busy with that list. As much as we are not going to finish that list of people who have claimed land until the deadline of 1998, because we don't have all the resources to buy or to pay for the land. But we have opted as government, we have made every preparations possible to ensure that we release land that has been claimed by claimants, that it's in the hands of government. So that land is going to be released. Shortly, the minister will come out openly. You will be seeing all of us going crisscrossing the country, releasing those pieces of land that have been claimed, that are owned by government departments and public entities. So we've agreed that we're going to release this land. We've got the permission of cabinet, because we want to ensure that we improve productivity and we restore the dignity of our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The next follow-up question is to be asked by Nkosi Kebekulu.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Ngithokoze mhlonishwa Sekela Mongameli. Sekela Mongameli, udaba lomhlaba udaba oluyivenyameni kwabaningi. Iqubula uhlevane kulabo abangabanikazi bomhlaba abawuphetheyo nalabo abawudingayo umhlaba. Uhlelo njengoba usushilo lokubuyiswa komhlaba noma lokuthola umhlaba ngaphandle kwesinxephezelo lusondeza umbono wabaningi ukuthi abatshali bezimali bamazwe angaphandle bazongabaza uzotshala imali eSouth Africa, ekubeni iSouth Africa idonsa kanzima esikhathini esiphila kusona ukuthi ikwazi ukuyimela. Awubonakalini amathuba ukuthi ngagcina lelizwe umhlaba uthathwe ngaphandle kwezinxephezelo uzogcina amazwe angaphandle ensunya izwe lethu bese singabi nawo nakho ukusebenza ukuya phambili. Okukhulu umhlonishwa Mongameli, ukhuluma ngomhlaba la kahulumeni ofuna be usubuyisela abantu abawuclaiming. Njengamanje kunenkohlakalo eqhubekayo esebenzini zomnyango. Kulo mhlaba oclaimiwe kade wagazethwa. Njengamanje ama-officials amanye arelease ama-leases wabathile for another period of years. Wenzani ke umhlonishwa uma ubheka wenzani uhulumeni uma ngabe ezofika umhlaba uthi usuclaimiwe wawugazetha yena busuyaqhubeka kulo mhlaba phela ulizela abanye abantu? Akukhona yini uqhutshwa kwenkohlakalo nongasizakala kwabantu? Ekugcineni abantu abazosizakala zinhlaka
Honourable member, your time is now expired. Honourable member, your time is expired. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. Angibonge kumhlonishwa. Cha, akusiyo inkinga lokho. Ngoba phela silapha nje ukuthi sikwazi ukucazulula lezo nkinga esihlangabezana nazo. Kungakho sithethe lo msebenzi. Kuyobaluleka ke ukuthi saziswe lapho kubonakala kunephutha khona, uma ngabe umhlaba waclainywa kodwa nawo umhlaba soyabolekiswa kwabanye abantu. Kuyofanele sikwazi lokho, kodwa ke umhlaba obolekisiwe kuzothi uma kufika isikhathi lapho kufanele ukuthi lowo mhlaba unikezwe abanikazi abawuclaimile. Angiboni kuba nenkinga ukuthi abanikazi bawuthole. Kodwa ke ngifuna ukuchaza ukuthi yonke imizamo yethu esiyenzayo ukuthi sinikezele ngabantu umhlaba awathathwa kubo ukuze phela nabo babe nendlela yokuziphilisa. Thina siwuhulumeni siyokwenza lokho silandelela imithetho. Ngeke nje sivuke ekseni sesithatha umhlaba womlimo othile siwunikeza umlimo othile. Siyokwenza lokho njengoba ngibala yonke lemithetho. I-expropriation bill izawufika phambi kwenu nixoxe izawupasiswa yini futhi i-constitution le izawuamendwa yini. Sasishilo ukuthi konke siyokwenza ukunikezela ngomhlaba, ukuletha inguquko kulomhlaba osezandleni zabamhlophe, osezandleni zalaba abalimi abakhulu. Konke lokhu siyokwenza silandelela umthetho. Futhi ke kufanele ngisho ukuthi bona labalimi laba sebeshilo ukuthi bona bazimisele futhi ukuthi bangawudonate umhlaba uma benikezwa ithuba lelo. Kungako thina sesize nepolicy yokuthi uma umuntu efuna ukudonate umhlaba kufanele enze kanjani. Seyikhona ke leyo policy. Amakampani amakhulu, ama-mining companies sebemine lapha azile kithi ukuthi aredi ukuthi adonate umhlaba. Siwusebenze nabo umhlaba ukuze siwunikeze abantu, siwuvuselele ukuthi ube esimeni sokuthi ungakhiciza ukudla bese siwubuyisela ebantwini. Baningi ke abantu base South Africa abazimisele ukusupporta le program. So konke siyokwenza silandelela umthetho wase South Africa. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The next supplementary question is to be asked by the Honourable Steyn.
Thank you, House Chairperson, to the Deputy President. Deputy President, it's very interesting that you are not, or no one in government is mentioning the high-level panel report that was before us, even before the last report, that mentioned and highlighted corruption and poor administration within the Department of Land Reform as one of the reasons why land reform is failing in South Africa. You might be interested that this 700,000 hectares of land that's being advertised currently, already some of that land has farmers on it, and they received letters to say that they must vacate the land. So much so for the land reform process that wants to benefit black farmers, Chairperson. But what I would like to ask, Honourable Deputy President, is the 8,000 land claims that's still outstanding. Will you use the expropriation bill to get hold of that land in order to give the land back to people? And when will current owners of land reform projects get title to the land? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Chair. The first comment on the 700 hectares of land that we said we're going to give it to people, and some of the land is occupied. I'm happy to hear that. We're going to discuss this as government, but remember the aim of these 700 hectares of land is to make it available to women, which is a targeted group, and to youth, which is a targeted group, and to people living with disability. Those are people that have been marginalized, that have been excluded in the past. So we want to restore their dignity and their rights and allow them to also to be economically active. So we're prepared to look at that and those people that are currently occupying those farms. I don't think there's any intention to forcefully remove people at this point in time. The 800 and something or so claims of land that it's in our disposal. We've managed to settle some of the claims, of course guided by the amount of resources that are at our disposal. What has made this land reform program to be so slow? It's because it's not affordable, it's too expensive for government, it can take years and years, and we're not going to complete it. It's very expensive. Of course, there are certain claims that we've settled, not very much, but outside those claims, like I have said, there are claims that were made on land that it's in the hands of government. And the land that is in the hands of the Department of Defense, land that is in the hands of Transnet, land that is in the hands of PRASA, you can name all departments. We have taken a decision as government that we are going to release this land free of charge. We are going to give it back to their owners. That process is underway, and that land accounts to almost plus or minus 260 land parcels that are in the hands of the state that are going to be released. So this is going to happen, and I can assure South Africans that we're going to handle this process with the sensitivity it deserves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The last follow-up question is to be asked by the Honourable Sheikh Imam.
Can I request that whoever is in control of this aircon to please take charge? It's freezing cold here, and we don't want to be statistics.
No, thank you. Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. I will request them to immediately attend to the matter. The Honourable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, House Chair and Deputy President. Thank you very much for some of your responses. But allow me first of all to thank you for the correspondence that I received from your officers on the suggestion that I made. A comprehensive proposal is on its way to you shortly. Now, Deputy President, the land restitution process that we're talking to a very large extent excludes people, particularly the Khoi and San community. And I'm going to go back to the 1913 cutoff date, which seems to be very problematic. Would you consider re-looking at that cutoff date so that it could be more inclusive and that all those that have been dispossessed will have the opportunity of having land? But very importantly, you know, the country has so much of land. People have been dispossessed, number one, but very importantly, Deputy President, people were not even allowed or given the opportunity of owning land and developing themselves. Will government ever consider giving every South African that cannot afford it a piece of fully serviced land so that you're giving back to them their dignity, you're giving back to them their identity, and I promise
Honourable
you...
Member, your time is now expired. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. Firstly, let me assure the Honourable Member that we are willing to consider the plight of the Khoi and San people in the redistribution and restitution of land, so that they become part and parcel of our land reform program. Thank you very much. We are going to take up this matter, and I'm sure the next time we report here, we're going to report specifically on this matter. There are discussions, of course, with the Khoi and San people, but But with this specific matter, I think we're going to take it up. You will appreciate the fact that our land reform program has got 3 legs in it. Firstly is to try and restore dignity, restore land that has been dispossessed, that has been taken from people. That is the restitution arm. Now, if people don't qualify for restitution, people can always qualify for redistribution of land. Land can be distributed to people who are ready to work the land, people who are ready to farm. That is why we are making land available to people as part of the redistribution process. But of course, as part of our land reform process, we've made land available in the number of towns, in the number of provinces. This land is earmarked for human settlement, where people can build their houses. And remember, that will translate finally to people getting upgrading their tenure rights. That means people are going to get their title deed. They're going to have stands, and those stands, they will have title to those stands. That means these people did not have a piece of land before. They are going to have a piece of land which can be transferred from generation to generation. That is one form of land reform. So we are improving tenure rights, where we're giving people title deeds. We are redistributing land for those who want to farm, and we are restituting land to those people who have been forcefully removed from their properties. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. I see the hand of the Honourable Mandela is up on the virtual platform. Does he want to make an intervention, Honourable Mandela?
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I had raised my hand electronically, and my follow-up question is as follows. In the Lamosa and others versus
Honourable
Chairperson
Member,
of the NCOP and others
Honourable
matter,
Mandela,
the Constitutional Court interdicted
Honourable
the Commission
Mandela,
on restitution of
Honourable
land
Mandela,
rights
you are not on the
from
list.
processing new claims.
You are not on the list to do follow-up questions. Honourable Mandela, we are done with this question now, and your name has not been supplied to us as a member who is going to ask a follow-up question. I will thus proceed to the next question. Question number 17 has been asked by the Honourable Mabuza, the Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Now, the Honourable Mandela can be given an opportunity to write to us so that we will respond to this question, the question that he wanted to pose, the follow-up question. Chairperson, a silent feature of our constitutional democracy's developmental agenda has been adding value to our people's lives through the effective and efficient delivery of services and development to our communities, coordinated, of course, across the 3 spheres of government with a view of maximizing impact and creating cohesive and sustainable communities. Our responsibility, Chair, as the Interministerial Committee on Service Delivery at district level, is to provide political oversight and ensure that municipalities are adequately supported and resourced in order to fast-track implementation of development, including alignment of infrastructure, development plans, and operations across the three spheres of government. The primary aim, Chair, of this collaboration is to finally develop one government plan, especially in the context of the current COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. This goes beyond the delivery of health care services. It extends to all services that are given to our communities in all our municipalities and in all our districts. This has been amply demonstrated by our national response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has created disruptions globally, thus necessitating that countries be agile in delivery of services to citizens. In our case, Chair, government has initiated measures to directly deal with the pandemic, whilst also continuing with provisions of critical health services to our citizens. Amidst the negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the country's health system, as government, we have had an opportunity to devise and employ creative and innovative ways of addressing critical gaps in our health system and our community systems. This includes the following. We have strengthened our laboratory services and our networks so that as we test people, the results can be out with immediate effect. Ensuring continuity of services by incorporating testing and screening for HIV and TB into COVID-19 screening, and contact tracing at community and household level, thereby reaching even more people with such integrated services. Ensuring that more community health workers were on the ground to reach out to patients and other community members that are in need of urgent health care assistance, including monitoring HIV, TB, and other chronic conditions such as hypertension and diabetes. Furthermore, the Department of Health has developed a SAGE strategy so as to ensure enhanced national response with minimal disruptions to critical frontline services in the health facilities, especially in our rural areas. It is worth noting, Honorable Chairperson, that health services delivery in rural areas of Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape provinces is carried out through our district health model, which allows for planning and delivery of health services in line with the needs and demands of our communities. To reduce the gaps of service delivery created by COVID-19 pandemic, our intergovernmental relations approach on service delivery remains key in effective and efficient delivery of frontline services, especially in the midst of this pandemic. A healthy nation is a productive nation. It is therefore the responsibility of all of us in our spaces to remain safe against this virus by always promoting health-seeking behaviors and adherence to treatment for those of our community members who are on treatment. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The first follow-up question will go to the Honourable Mabuza.
Thank you, Masibulele Mhlali weBhunga. Deputy President, as you have alluded to, the success of cooperative governance and government, it requires an active participation by all sector departments and state-owned enterprises in planning and implementation. What role then is the government playing in strengthening intergovernmental relations to accelerate the implementation of the district development model? Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chair. The Honourable Member will be aware that the first step to promote intergovernmental relations right at the level of the President is the creation of the Presidential Coordinating Committee, which is a committee of the President with premiers of different provinces. That's where the President discusses matters of service delivery with provinces. But we further extended this intergovernmental relations platform by creating the district development model. This district development model, as championed by Minister Lamini Zuma, is well on its way. We want to thank the Minister working very hard for the creation of this model. Already it has been piloted in a number of districts. This model, this district development model, seeks to bring together your municipalities, bring together provinces and national departments. Now this district model seeks to produce one government plan at the district level. Now this plan will consist of what national government is going to provide as services in that very district, what the province is going to provide as services in that district, what the different municipalities are going to provide as services in that district. And everything is then captured in one plan, and the plan is costed, and the plan is monitored at that level. Now, further, the President has appointed district champions. These are ministers and deputy ministers who currently sit and chair and coordinate those activities at the district level, so that what we do nationally, provincially, and at a municipal level can be done in an integrated manner that enhances service delivery. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. Before I recognize the next person to ask a question, I want to request the members on the virtual platform to ensure that your microphones are muted. You are disturbing proceedings while the Deputy President is responding to questions. The next follow-up question is to be asked by the Honourable Khwarube.
Deputy President, you claim that government was caught napping where it comes to COVID-19 corruption. However, the real enemy of service delivery isn't procurement processes. It is politically connected individuals who are never held accountable or arrested. ANC leaders such as Ace Magashule, Nomvula Makonyane, Bandile Masuku, Kusela Diko were identified as people who allegedly benefited from government contracts worth millions of public money, either directly or through family members. While the SIU is busy with various investigations and arrests, will you, as the leader of government business and the Deputy President of the ANC, assure South Africans that you support the removal of these individuals and others from their leadership positions, both in government and within your organization?
The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Well, the member is correct that our law enforcement agencies are busy with investigations of all cases that involve corruption on PPEs and other related matters, including the awarding of tenders. Now, it will be prematurely for me to say certain people must, in the process, step aside. That means leave their jobs before any pronouncement by this law enforcement agencies. I think we should have faith in our law enforcement agencies that finally they are going to pronounce themselves and they are going to act. Let's give them space without our interference politically, from time to time, citing names of people and all that. Let them do their work without our political interference. Because whatever it can happen today or tomorrow, it will be said, no, this thing was discussed in Parliament. Names of people were discussed in Parliament. We should avoid this. Allow the law enforcement agencies to do their work. And we should respect them and accord them the necessary support where they need our support. All we can say is that irregardless of your standing in society, the law it's above all of us. No one is above the law of the country. That must be restated, and it must be understood that our law enforcement agencies can arrest anyone. Our law enforcement agencies can act on any one of us without fear, without favor. Thank you very much.
The next follow-up question is to be asked by the Honorable Van Staden.
Deputy President, the ruling party and this government are of opinion that the NHI will cure all the problems currently experienced in the health sector. In these remote areas like the Eastern Cape, the total number of clinics is 773 for a population of 6 million people. Some of these clinics do not have beds, medicine, water, doctors or nurses. We all know that under the NHI, clinics will be the first stop for patients. And in the light of this, what will the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation together with the Department of Health do to see to it that these problems in these remote areas receive the necessary attention? And how will your office plan to address these problems to see to it that health workers get the necessary medicine, beds, equipment and water to perform their duties and to provide adequate health services in these areas. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Chair. I think the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed a lot of weaknesses in our healthcare system, and we did not sit as government. We responded on these weaknesses. That is why the Minister of Finance came to this August House to request for money that was given to the Department of Health. That money was meant to try and support, build the necessary infrastructure, buy the necessary beds, buy the necessary medicine, so that our people can receive the necessary service. We are, however, not very happy about the money that got lost due to corruption, especially in the Department of Health. We have spoken about this, and we are now giving the law enforcement agencies space to deal with this matter. But we are not going to give up. We are going to persist to get our health system ready for NHI. We need to ensure that our clinics meet the required standard of service. Our hospitals meet the required standard of service, especially when it comes to cleanliness, when it comes to servicing of people. People must not wait for hours and hours and hours waiting for to be attended. We are looking at that as the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation. We are going to respond to all these weaknesses. It is not only the Department of Health. We're also looking at our municipalities, the way we deliver services. We're also looking at Department of Education, the way we deliver services. We're looking at our frontline services. All our people that are meant to deliver services at our frontline points, to ensure that they do this very diligently. So it is our intention that the shortcomings that were exposed by COVID-19, especially in the Department of Health, are attended. As we are still dealing with COVID-19, we are confident that the Minister of Health is equally ready to confront these challenges. He has led us through this pandemic. He has supported provinces. He has supported the entire Department of Health nationally to try and combat this pandemic. And we are very sure that with our support, all the loopholes that have been identified can be rectified. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The last follow-up question on this question will go to the Honourable Singh.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson, and thank you, Honourable Deputy President. Honourable Deputy President, I want to follow up on your response to Honourable van Staden and say, yes, intentions are very good, Honourable Deputy President. Models are very, very good. But models sometimes just remain as good as the paper they are written on. It is implementation of the models and adequate resourcing. Now, rural people are the forgotten children of South Africa. They are treated as the stepchildren because even during COVID-19, it seemed that the focus was in urban and peri-urban areas. Honorable Deputy President, give a rural citizen who's watching this program now some hope that this government will take care of their needs, let alone health needs, but the needs of basic service delivery like water, electricity, and roads. Thank you, Honorable Deputy.
The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I think as government, we have realized this shortcoming in terms of service delivery. That is why, as government, we came up with this district development model. One weaknesses that we have realized is that as the spheres of government, we approach service delivery in a disjointed manner. And in the process, we are not efficient. We do half-baked work. Some of the work that we do, we end up not completing that work. You'll find projects that are not completed. You'll find houses that lack water. You'll find this not completed because as the spheres of government, we are not collaborating in terms of service delivery, let alone those municipalities that are rural, those districts that are rural. Now, we are now trying to avert this problem by pulling all of us to sit at one level, create one platform, so that the plan that we develop at a district, out of these 44 districts and these metros, we develop a plan. This plan is going to commit national government. This plan is going to commit provincial government, is going to commit municipalities, irregardless whether they are urban or rural, so that whatever is in the plan is costed and is funded, and it's going to be monitored by all of us that it is implemented. We hope the district model will resolve some of our problem. It's in the development stages, and I'm sure it's going to mature and it's going to resolve a lot of our problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable members, the last question has been asked by the Honorable Lasoma. The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The overall capacity of the state hinges on the appointment and the retention of capable and ethical public servants that are committed to the service of the people without focusing on their individual interests and material gains pursued at the expense of our people. A capable and ethical developmental state is central to the task of advancing socio-economic development and transformation. More importantly, Chair, the National Development Plan envisages well-run and effectively coordinated state institutions with skilled public servants who are committed and capable of consistently delivering high-quality services. As government, we are implementing measures to improve governance systems and internal controls to ensure that the integrity of the state is not undermined by incidents of corruptions and maladministration. In part, these initiatives are focused on setting out clear regulatory standards of compliance, and ethical conduct by public servants to ensure that we institutionalize a culture of honesty, integrity, and positive moral values in the execution of our government work. Government has adopted the public sector integrity management framework, focusing on the key elements such as the regulation and monitoring of public servants in receiving gifts, donations, and sponsorships. In this regard, all gifts, donations, and sponsorships received in the course of public servants doing their work should be submitted to the accounting officer for approval prior to accepting the gift or the donation or the sponsorship. Adherence to the public sector code of conduct, disclosure of financial interest in every financial year for various categories of our employees, including senior management and all employees working in finance and our supply chain management. Restrictions on remunerative work outside the public service in line with Section 30 of our Public Service Act, which states that no employee shall perform or engage himself or herself to perform remunerative work outside his or her employment in the relevant department, except with the written permission of the executive authority of the department. Through its Ethics and Integrity Management Unit, the Department of Public Service and Administration monitors and reports on public service, the servants that are doing business with the state, where breaches and unethical conduct have been identified, disciplinary actions are taken in line with applicable disciplinary code and processes. As part of the induction program for public servants, the National School of Governance provides leadership training that are aimed at inculcating a culture of patriotism and servant leadership that is consistent with Batupile principles. This also includes compulsory ethics training program to empower our public service to manage unethical temptations and moral dilemmas which they are often confronted with in the course of doing their work. In cases where acts of criminality have been committed, the criminal justice system has the responsibility to bring all perpetrators to book and ensure that the resources of the state are recovered. As said earlier, the law enforcement agencies are at work attending to cases of wrongdoing, and in some instances, the asset forfeiture unit is already attaching private assets of alleged perpetrators. We are hopeful that the arrests and prosecution of corrupt public servants will send a strong message that corruption will not be tolerated by this administration. While addressing some of the challenges of unethical conduct in the public service, we must equally recognize many committed public servants at the coalface of service delivery. They are committed frontline workers in our health services, in our schools, in home affairs, and security personnel who continue to display a patriotic sense of duty and service. Some have perished in the line of duty while serving the public, thus saving many lives and fighting crime. We honor them for their selfless contribution and service to the people of our country. It is those selfless public servants who are facing the eye of the coronavirus storm, sacrificing their own life to save others under difficult circumstances. They never gave up, even under worst of situation, since the nationwide lockdown was implemented in March this year. They are the epitome of public service excellence and patriotism. As part of revitalizing Batupile and creating a responsive government will continue to pay particular attention to frontline service delivery, monitoring to ensure that the quality of public service improves. Across all spheres and sectors of government, we will focus on enhancing service offerings and improving turnaround times. Our health facilities must continue to improve and meet the national cost standards. Our criminal justice system must improve to ensure that the victims of gender-based violence are speedily assisted and saved from the trauma of not seeing justice being served against their perpetrators. Our local government institutions must respond timelessly to issues raised by communities. For all this to happen, we need ethical and capable civil servants who are driven by the values of servant leadership, selflessness, revolutionary consciousness, and accountability. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. I've been informed that the Honourable Malomane will take charge of the first supplementary question on behalf of the Honourable Losoma. The Honourable Malomane.
Thank you, House Chair. Thank you, Deputy President, for the response. The follow-up question is like this. With reference to the implementation of the anti-corruption strategy, is there a specific time frame whereby the strategy will be fully implemented to fast-track the improvement of transparency and accountability across government? Will the 5-point revitalization plan be included as part of the Batupuli principles to further increase patriotism in the public service? And will it encourage public servants to adhere to the principle? Thank you.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The Honourable Member will remember that the National Anti-Corruption Strategy that was developed in 2015 by the then Anti-Corruption Interministerial Committee and the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster at that time. This anti-corruption strategy is now almost at the tail end. It's now almost ready to be approved by Cabinet, and it's going to be advertised and implemented beyond approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The next follow-up question is to be asked by the Honourable Mashabela.
Thank you, Chairperson. Deputy President, most senior public servants are driven to commit corrupt deals because of the pressure they get from politicians who coerce and force them to commit these criminal acts. We know that the Gupta family forced public servants to do their bidding. We now know also that public servants and leaders of the state entities are forced to make business deals for the ones who bankrolled your president. What protection measures do you think need to be put in place to protect civil servants who refuse to take illegal instructions from corrupt politicians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think the administrators, public servants are employed to administer certain legislations and they are guided in their work. I don't think they go around taking instructions from people. Well, people can intimidate them, they can do whatever, but they can't do what is wrong and purport to be having coerced and forced to do something that is wrong. Because if you do that as a public servant, you say you have been coerced to do what is wrong, you are equally wrong. You can be arrested for that. So even before creating that act of wrongdoing, you will have to report that incident there and there. If possible, let them expel you, but report this to the law enforcement agencies so that this can be dealt with. We don't believe that as a public servant responsible to run a certain section of a department, you can take instructions from people outside. Even if though that instruction is from your MEC, is from your minister, if that instruction is against the rules, it's against the law, you should not. Because if you do accede to such an instruction, you are equally responsible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The next follow-up question is to be asked by the Honourable Denner.
Thank you, House Chair. Deputy President, you've said repeatedly that the President and government want to regenerate the moral fibre and morale of the public service by eradicating immoral and unethical behaviour and increasing patriotism among public servants. But how, Honourable Deputy President, will government achieve this goal while the ANC itself does not pay its own staff salaries and harbours and protects the single most scum and corrupt person in this country in the form of your SG, Mr. Ismagashule? Thank you, Chair.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not going to really answer that question on behalf of the ANC, why the ANC, the TG, is not paying salaries on time, the challenges that being faced by the TG not paying people on time. All what I can say is that whether you are an ANC member, whether you're a DA member, whether you're a EFF member, the law enforcement agencies are not going to be intimidated if we've done anything wrong. Whether I'm a deputy president, whether I'm the Secretary General, I'm not above the law of this country. So if we talk about wrongdoings, all of us, I think it is the ANC that must be exemplary, because the ANC is leading government. So the ANC is not going to tolerate corruption within its own ranks. But I'm sure there are spokespersons that can speak on behalf of the ANC. But I'm saying wrongdoing cannot be tolerated irregardless of your standing in society. If we want to build a country that is going to be run through the rule of law, we must respect the Constitution, we must respect the laws of this country. No one can be above those laws if we still want to have a credible and a very prosperous country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy President. The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, House Chair. Deputy President, thank you for that. Deputy President, wherever there is corruption, we should not only talk about the public sector. Wherever there is corruption in the public sector, it comes as a result of some collusion with the private sector as well. And I want to say, I see some of my colleagues, most of them are attacking particularly members of the ANC. I would want to know, if you are sincere about dealing with this and responsible for government business, how is it that no action has been taken thus far on a Minister Patricia de Lille in the Bright Bridge corruption scandal that's taking place? Millions of rands have already been lost there, where she actually interfered, violated the PF. Now, if we allow these things, how are we supposed to be convinced, Deputy President, that indeed we are moving to a clean slate and wanting to do the right thing? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. Some of these things are being investigated and are being dealt with quietly at the relevant time, appropriate time. We are going to announce our decisions. There are a number of cases, but you take your time, you take the necessary processes, the due processes, you follow them so that you do due diligence, so that finally you come to a conclusion that it's fair and credible. Then you can announce it. Of course, there are many cases that are being investigated. It is our wish that they can be concluded speedily, but we want to ensure that these cases are dealt with in a manner that is fair, in a manner that is proper, that cannot come back and haunt us. So I can assure the honourable member that all the cases, the law enforcement agencies are dealing with those cases. Some cases which are in our domain will deal with those, but some cases which are in the domain of our law enforcement agencies will allow our law enforcement agencies to deal with those cases. Thank you very much.
Honourable members, that concludes questions to the Deputy President. And Honourable Deputy President, we'd like to thank you for your time this afternoon. That concludes the business for the day, and the House is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
President.